Hello, hello. I am so excited because I have Opie from Opie's Connection joining me today. Hello.
Doing?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
I'm so honored to hold space with you again and connect. It's been too long.
Yes, it has been too long, actually. I was thinking of that this morning. I was like, how many years has it been? I know that we connected last year,
Yeah.
maybe at the Halos, right? We at the
Yes.
Halos, yes. And then before that, I feel like we connected before that.
Yes, it was actually right after I had just opened up. You had a summit with multiple different other souls there, and after that, I had connected to you for a reading.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's
So
been
it's
three
been
years since
years.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
3 years for that. Yeah, that's wild.
I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, so you are a psychic medium. You've been doing it for 3 years, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk much more about it because I want to hear more about how your journey started. How did it actually come to be? I know you just kind of mentioned that you did the summit and then we had a reading, but I want to know more about like how you actually identified as a psychic medium and where your journey brought you to that moment where you were like, aha.
All hit it, and it's like, is this real? Right?
Yes.
Amber, it's a crazy story in the sense of previously I was married for 9 years to somebody. And over time, the relationship became very unhealthy, unwell. But through that, we had 5 years of infertility treatments, and my last treatment took. And 2 weeks before that little soul came to this earth, he texted me that he was leaving me.
What?
Yeah, he texted, and then I waited for the phone bill and found out about the other woman. So it was kind of like this path that I had force fed and kept abiding by and kept committing
Yeah.
to and kept sacrificing pieces of myself to accommodate this other person that didn't appreciate any aspect of it.
Mm.
And universe had to really overhaul me. I find in the times of rebirth is when so much chaos hits, and I'm always the one to really celebrate it because during the next 3 years of fighting to get him to give me my divorce, I lost my home to foreclosure. My children and I went without food quite often. I barely had gas to get to work. We had to sell all our furniture. We had to give away our animals. We literally had tons of aspects of our journey, our life that we had created just ripped from us. And it
Mm.
was basically at the end, just my children and I, our clothing on our back, a few items in the kitchen, and walking away from this home that had so much intensity involved to it. We finally got the divorce, and my children and I got to go to a little 400 square foot apartment, which we still talk about as being our heart, our everything, where we got to really rebuild. And
Hmm.
during this time, I really overhauled who I was. I lost tons of friends, people who I had known for 16 years, 18 years. I got hard into the gym. I rebuilt myself physically, mentally, emotionally. It was just an overhaul on every aspect possible. And with that came the birth of Opie. I was previously Cheryl, and I got this nickname of Opie that was just this badass ginger who gave it to you straight and just didn't have any cares in the world. She was nothing but authentic and real. And through that, I also connected to a healer for the first time. I had a psychic medium that actually guided me through this journey. And at the end, she said, I don't know if I ever told you this, but you were meant to die.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was meant to get cancer and die through that journey, but I overhauled and rebirthed so much that universe really connected me to the journey that was meant for me.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
I connected to this healer who looked at me and started saying, "Do you know how strong you are?" And I laughed at her. I said, "Listen, this is just a black sheep, okay? If somebody's going to mess it up, it's this ginger. She's really good at doing crazy things that nobody else would." And she said, "No, I really think you should take this course." And through the next 4 years, I met my incredible unicorn of a husband. He is everything I ever asked universe for. We had a 3rd child together, and he's a little medium as well. And
Oh.
I was about to go back to work, and I was called to this course. So
Mhm.
June 2020, I took this course, and all of a sudden, boom, it was on. And September 1st, I opened my practice.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Oh my
thank
goodness.
you.
Like the journey that you have just described, and because obviously I'm sensitive, so I'm like in it with you while you're doing it, and I can feel all of those things. That it does have to essentially blow up your life,
Yeah,
and I love that you decided for yourself and for your children that you were going to take control, have that empowerment, and through the dust find the clarity. Because like, I say this, like, we often have the most tumultuous journeys here. Like, we're the ones that come up with all of these things that we have to go through. And when doctors say, oh, that'll rarely happen, we know
yeah,
now. You just told us basically that's what's happening to us. That never happens. Okay, sure, thanks. Okay, I'll sign up for that now.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh my
that's
goodness.
amazing, because to be able to essentially, I feel like you were in this rebirth and this death of yourself, right? You were the death of, let's say, Cheryl into the rebirth of Opie. And
Yeah,
that is so beautiful. So
thank you
beautiful.
so much. And it's amazing because when you start losing everything, you really get to a point where there's just no cares given. There's no prioritizing to people pleasing. And it's just the what ifs. What if I actually say what I feel? What if I actually choose what's right for me versus what you think I should do? You have nothing to lose at that point and everything to gain. And that's really was the overall theme of that journey for me was, on the other side of the pain, the other side of just being collapsed and not knowing and the rawness is who you're meant to be. And I look back at my journey and I had so many challenges in my path that were very unique and very traumatic, but it was so I could walk the path with so many others and hold no judgment.
Yes, because how are we supposed to be able to hold no judgment, empathy, compassion, and kindness, and
Yeah.
to be able to access this higher level awareness if we're not in a space that we can identify with it in some way, shape, or form? Like, do you often find that a lot of people that walked a similar path to you are the ones that are naturally navigating towards you?
Yeah, I definitely have a connection point with people who are in the trenches per se at not so much in the context of what I walk through, but in the context of the rawness, the breakdown of emotions, not knowing how to step forward, not knowing how to navigate finding themselves again. I find that they are really seeking truth. And a lot of times I'll say in my sessions, this might not be what you want to hear, but this is what you need to hear. And you are here
Mm-hmm.
because I will be honest with you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people will fluff our lives. And I think that's the most harmful thing you can do. Versus giving somebody a truth dynamic of, I see this hurting you. This is not benefiting you. I see you getting lost right now. Whereas I want you empowered. I want you connected. I want you feeling strong and joyous every day. So,
Yeah. And you
yeah.
have to be kind of a certain individual to be able to hold that space with somebody, because you have to be able to look at them from the depths of their soul and say, this is coming from such a space of love and
Yes.
kindness and humanity that I'm sharing it with you, right? So for you to be able to hold that space amongst everything else that's going on around you in your own life, right? That
Yeah.
seems to be, I wanted to ask you this because this is my favorite question to ask, is how do you balance and how do you do this work-life balance? Because you've got, mom and, wife
Mhm.
and, whatever else, daughter, sister, whatever you are, and you've got this psychic medium, and then you've got all these other things and aspects. So the best question that I could ever ask someone like you is,
Yeah.
how do you balance it? And are you still learning that?
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
you think you get it down and all of a sudden a whole another ballpark hits your plate and you're like, how am I going to fit this in?
Yeah.
Because I find with my work, I have to be slept. Like I have to have sleep. I have to be well in my body because if I can't expand and connect my aura and keep that strong, I'm no good for anybody. And if I burn out, I'm not good for anybody. I want longevity in my career. So that's the biggest challenge and something that I'm always kind of analyzing and overhauling. But for me, the biggest thing to remind people of is one step at a time. Focus on the top three things that are priorities and give your full attention to it. Because if we're giving our attention to 50 different things at once, you're not going to accomplish much fast. So, I have an incredible husband who is very supportive and does not get to share space with his wife enough.
Yep.
Children that get like the morning mom and the crazy pickups and sometimes at soccer and sometimes at not, which is quite the adjustment for them, but they see my work and they believe in my work, so that's really a blessing as well. But it's
Mhm.
really one step at a time, and really have to hone in the priorities too. So we get all these great downloads, but sometimes they're meant for 2 3 years down the road when there's space for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an important message that you just gave because, timing is everything, right? You've
Yep.
got like look where you are now and where you were a few short years ago. And that is possible for everybody. It's possible for your clients, it's possible for anybody to be in the
Yes.
depths of despair in one moment
Yeah.
and then fast forward and there is some way out of it. I mean, I think that's just the most important part is in this empowerment journey you're not losing hope and faith that there is no way out of something, right? There is you might
Yeah.
have to lose all your friends. Like you
Yeah.
said that and I thought, wow, that's great and bad at the same time because you almost have to shed all of the people that aren't in alignment with who you are becoming or who you are meant to be, right? So, I mean,
Yes.
those people will amplify your abilities, I find. Like
Yeah.
to be able to give you that freedom to be yourself. So,
Yeah.
when you do feel like you've lost it all, you really have only lost a version of who you were trying to be and not who
Yeah.
you actually are, right?
True.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And so many people I think will resonate with that because we're all having a hard time in one way, shape, or form or
Yeah.
another, right? Like life is challenging.
Yeah, well, and the anxiety really comes from seeing the end goal and being here, either obtaining your life mate or that career or whatever it is you're seeking. But to me, I just like to remind people it's about the story, it's about the journey, not so much the finality, because there is no finality. So let's create the space of loving every step towards it and release everything that's in here because that's where the anxiety gets everybody is how is this going to happen? Well, let's just keep walking to find out and let's enjoy the pace and
Yeah.
let's explore a little bit here and there, right? So make it
Mhm.
something that's memorable and joyous even through the chaos and the hardship. It's a choice to be stuck in the lower frequency or emotions of it all. I used to get laughed at work because
I'm
everybody had a
laughing now because I can feel the people laughing. I literally just laughed because I thought, oh, everybody's going to be so triggered by that. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. And they're going to be so triggered.
I I was losing my happiness, I didn't have food that day. I still showed up to work happy and excited and
Yeah.
grateful for the job I had. And people would look at me and say, I know your life. I know your life is falling apart. How are you happier than me?
Yeah. How are you doing it? And that
Right?
goes to show your energy,
Yeah.
your awareness. To me, what I felt was you just had this awareness that this wasn't it. This was where, one stop along your journey to something else. Like you weren't going to be
Yes.
here forever. And I think that helps a lot when you're auric body is kind of like, okay, I'm vibrating in a different place than where my physical body is sitting right now. I know I just need to keep going with this momentum to get to the next spot. And so that can keep you in a good frame of mind. It really can.
No, absolutely. And I think that's where our role really becomes so powerful in these moments in people's lives because the psychic medium I connected to was the first person to give me hope and to give me perspective of something I was headed towards. Because at that point,
Mhm.
I was like, I'm never going to be in a relationship again. I'm never going to feel love again. I'm going to be totally alone in this path. I'm going to be miserable. And she was like, no, no, no. Here's what I see. And it was everything I dreamt of. And she didn't know about this journey yet. They blocked her from that because they didn't want me to get caught up in that. They wanted me
Right.
to focus on the process. So sometimes they'll
Yes.
get blocked until, I'm ready to receive that as well. And I tell you
Mhm.
what, having hope and having something to walk towards was everything in that moment.
Absolutely. I can definitely resonate with that in the way of saying, okay, we can't know everything that's about to unfold right now, but if we get little bits and pieces along the way, then we know we're not going to be in this forever, you know?
Yes,
Oh, that,
yes.
yeah, that's so beautiful. And you probably, if we go back to like, the younger version of yourself, you probably already were glowing like that. You probably already held this space in this world in that higher frequency. And you probably had people always gravitating towards you. So, did you know when you were a child or a young teen that you knew you were kind of set out here for something different than what you thought everyone else was kind of trying to do?
Well, it's interesting because as a child, I lived behind a forest and I saw a spirit like they were humans walking around. I had people
Hmm.
in the forest that would show me different things and show me time loops. I had shadow people trying to come through my window, and I constantly had spirits at nighttime coming out of my closet and standing around my bed. And I would just be paralyzed in fear. My family spoke of my night terrors, and they just told me I had a really big imagination. And then at
Mm.
8, we moved to Regina, and I remember a very clear angelic dream where this being touched my left hand. And after that, my clairvoyance was shut off. But when I look at my journey and I look at the process of it, I was very much an empath and always trying to support people. My parents
Hmm.
were always on me saying, you've got to stop giving so much time and attention to everybody's problems and saving people and looking through life through rose glasses and all this jazz, right? So it
Yeah.
was all through my journey with that until all of a sudden they saw what happened and it kind of rocked them because they were like, well, I'm really glad there was purpose for all that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something kids that are psychics struggle with is the
mhm,
is what the family doesn't know how to offer them, right? Like a lot of times, like you and I now
yeah.
offering our children and their children's children and all of that, we would be able to hold a space for them to say, here's what you're possibly experiencing, or here's what we're connecting to you to understand. But maybe back in our generations before us, they didn't have the capacity to understand, or it was so taboo that
Yeah.
even if they did understand it, it was like, well, heck no, I'm not letting my kid be different, right? Like
My grandma
yeah.
was a Reiki master actually, and it was very hush hush in the
Ooh.
family because we have a whole family of teachers and engineers. And
Oh.
she would give me little breadcrumbs when I look back on it. I have her books with the little notes, read this crystal or check this out, right? So it was nice that
Amazing.
I had that kind of awareness and support that I can look back and see how special that was now. But
Yes.
I think the biggest thing for me, for speaking to parents and supporting their children is just opening the conversation, allowing the
Mm.
child to have the empowerment of speaking of this, breaking it down, just like we're talking about Kermit the Frog on the telly.
Yeah.
Let's take the
Yeah.
fear out of it and just have a conversation. How do you feel? How does this look? What's the experience like? Can you tell it to go away? Just these little simple things that make a big impact. Because if
Mhm.
I would have had the ability for somebody to just have a conversation with me about it, I'm sure that would have been a different journey.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest thing too, yeah, having that ability to have an open conversation you're afraid of it or you don't have the information, there are people like you that can help people
Yeah,
understand, right? And that's important because if we don't have the tools and the awareness, just like with finance, right? A lot of people
yeah,
don't understand finance enough to teach their children about it or to learn about it themselves. So how are we supposed to bring that down?
absolutely.
But look at you. You're still a teacher. You're still pulling that generational career through because this requires a lot of teaching when you are doing, because you have courses as well, correct?
Yes, I do. I really wanted to support people on connecting to their intuition because that is really the basis of who we are, and giving that empowerment, giving that strength in our life. That is such a huge, huge gift. And then for
Mhm.
people just that want to engage in psychic or want to engage in mediumship, it gives a lot more understanding. It gives you a strong foundation. So I was really passionate about creating intuitive development. It was kind of an encompass of all these different pieces that I acquired from all these different teachers, and just kind of gave a base of something that's concrete and individual to people, because I
Yeah.
feel a lot of people teach from their experience but don't give the fluidity to the individual's process. Being a claircognizant, I don't
Mhm.
work in the visuals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You just know it. So in case you're not familiar, the claircognizant, she just knows it. You're just getting it dropped
Yeah,
in, right? Hmm.
yes, and being an engineer's daughter, I like concrete,
Yes.
steps and, things to hold on to and obtain and grow and develop. So that's definitely something I wanted to bring into play for things that I taught. So,
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing
yeah.
because it is very important not only that we are psychic mediums for people to come and get this insight from, but that they know that they can open this up and trust their own journey. Because
Yes.
you wanna still be able to say, okay, I want to trust my gut, or I need a knowing, or I need to sense something, and just to kind of have more trust in that. So that
Well,
course would be fabulous
yes.
for that journey.
I think intuition is the most incredible experience when you start really playing with it. That was definitely something that was brought into my journey when I was in the raw depths of things. My ex swore I had a GPS tracker on him because of the random texts I would give him. And I didn't know that, when I was saying, if you go traveling or something, you should probably let me know at some point. And all of a sudden he's crossing the border to Minot, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, "Oh my goodness, she can see me."
right?
Yeah.
When you can hone that in, it really kind of, it saves you from accidents. Food
Yeah.
I found really helped me with, or even my children,
Mm.
predicting if they're sick and stuff. When you start empowering that, it trickles into every aspect of your life. It's the most incredible thing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's beautiful. It is
Yeah.
a true empowerment and the ability to align to where you're needing to go that's for your highest good. Now,
Yes.
I also saw that you do forensic mediumship, but I want to ask you, do you feel like that is your true purpose, your mission? Is that more in line with it? Or what do you, so this is a two-parter.
Yeah.
What is your actual, I know, sorry. We're going in two spots here. If this was my husband, he'd be like, whoa, hold on, one thing at a time.
I'm
Um,
ADHD, so we're good. We can do multis.
oh, perfect. All right, we got this. So, the first part of the question is, what is your true purpose and mission? Like, what part of the psychic mediumship healer world do you feel the most compelled with? And what is your like ideal audience? And the second part is, I thought because you were doing forensic mediumship, is that part of this answer, or is this also just complementary to your journey?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that spirit's going to give me a lot of different facets, not only for joy, but healing, because the forensic is going to be the big bulk of my work. So, with that, you have to be very cautious on, having healing time, having grounding, and having a variety. So, you're not stuck in the lower realm of that. But they started in my journey 6 months into opening up was my first missing person case, and I have worked a multitude of them just with the families so far.
Mhm.
And I'm still kind of developing and honing in, being that I'm only 3 years in. Every case has shown me something different to kind of strengthen my abilities towards. But the predictions have always been that I'll be working specialized cases down the road. And for me, it's very important that I give a power to people whose voices have been taken away. So
Yeah.
I really want to connect to children. I want to be an advocate on their safety and supporting them in their journey. And, doing what I can with my work. But I always remind people, saying that I don't do any of the actual solving. It's the police that do it. They're incredible with their job, but I would love to be a support system with that when that aligns.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that kind of goes back to people are going to be drawn to you for those things. Like I
Mhm.
noticed in my journey, the reason that's why I asked the question is because in my journey, I would get a lot of people that passed of suicide
Yeah.
or murdered. And it was at one point in my journey, I was like, huh, why all of these types of deaths in this way, or these types of people coming to have those validations or the insights and messages from that. And so it gives you a moment where you're like, am I even in charge of what I'm choosing to do? Or am I so in alignment that I can follow what they're giving me? And so I love that you are in awareness of they're going to give me whatever it is that I'm meant to do. And then I will hone in on that because you
Absolutely.
really
Yeah.
don't have the choice. And when you do think you do, you're out of alignment.
Well, it's interesting because I'm in Saskatchewan, I'm in Regina, we're in the middle of nowhere, and most of my missing person cases are in New Brunswick.
Interesting. That's
Yeah, so
interesting.
and I usually get missing person cases, and it's different variation of children to adult, but I find the area is my soul group. So for you, it's probably that soul group of
Mhm.
souls that recognize you can tune in to support that. But oddly enough, New
Mhm.
Brunswick is the one that keeps coming in hot for me.
That's amazing. At least they know how to find you, thankfully, through technology and the
Yeah.
internet, and just to be able to have that access. And I don't love technology for a lot of reasons, mainly because, well, even just you and I trying to connect together today, just with our energy amplifying, the technology is suffering. But I do love it for the reasons of access, right? To be able
Yeah.
to get to have access. Oh, actually, this is an amazing segue because you have a television show on Access TV, Access Now TV, Access TV, Access Now TV. Thank you.
How great is that? It's a cooperative television network through Saskatchewan here, and it's very supportive of the community. So I was just so elated when they asked for me to kind of join and do a TV series with them. So
That is so fun. And I could only see it on the clips that you shared on your social
mhm,
media, which I'll
mhm.
put in the show notes for you. But where you were like doing, it reminded me of like a gallery reading, and then you had the show from there, but I wasn't able to see anything else. So, how can people watch?
So it's on an app that's worldwide. So you just go to the website accessnowtv.com, and you can check it out from there and download the app. And actually, this Sunday was just the last episode, so I'm not sure if there'll be replays or anything like that. But
Okay.
it was multi-dimensional, so it had a couple episodes about my journey, and I did a live 150 people audience read, and that had clips through each episode. And then also I helped support in communication of intuition, grief, psychic mediumship, platform reads and forensic work, and what to expect when working with an intuitive, different aspects like that. So
So exciting
thank
because
you.
I want to watch it. I will watch it. I just had to figure out from you
Yeah.
how to watch. I know I saw the instructions on your social media of how to do it. And again, with being a psychic medium and technology, it just wasn't working for me. So
I I get it. It's an issue with us trying to even, do an email half the time. You don't know
oh,
where it goes.
yes. Oh my goodness. I'm fortunate because a lot of things usually work, but when it doesn't, I'm like, okay, take a deep
Yeah.
breath. The timing is everything.
Well, it was
Oh,
a beautiful experience. And It was so funny the way it, lined up. I think it was my second group read I had ever done. One of the, head ladies was in the group there. She reached out to my media team, and they kinda had some connection points there, and then all of a sudden, it came, full circle. So it was actually a year ago, last March, I was able to announce it, and then it just started airing the end of January, so it was really
That's so
special for
fun.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, that is special because you want to be able to get, I mean, to be completely like helpful to the people that are watching. Because if you think back, like you remember John Edward and he had the
Yeah.
show Crossing Over. So I was probably maybe 12 at the time. And
Yeah.
the only reason I actually could put the language to being a medium or being a psychic medium, as he proclaimed it to be, was
Yeah.
that I was watching him on TV. So I know that by you being present in this form, that they're going to, might be a little 12-year-old Amber or 12-year-old Opie that's
Yeah.
watching this and saying, ah, that's what I'm doing. And then ignore it for 15, 20 years and then come.
That's the thing we want, right? I always remind parents, you don't want your children open the whole time because they'll miss their life lessons. So yes,
Yes. Yes.
live
Yeah.
and then come back to the chaos.
Yeah. For me, it was interesting because I resonate with you about the timing of everything happening for you around having, something profound happening in your life and also around fertility, pregnancy,
Mhm.
birthing, because my abilities really strengthened after I was having children. And a lot of other people that I talked to said the same thing. Yeah, chills, right? Yeah. I got them too.
The
And
catalyst, right? The new energy,
yeah,
the rebirth. It's just like,
so amazing. It's like
yeah,
you're in your divine feminine when you're in and holding space to grow a human. And then I feel like it's like, oh, we just are gonna, go with the flow and be okay. And then here all of a sudden all these insights start coming in and you're like, ooh, that's why we call it mother's intuition. It's like, oh, all of a sudden you're a mom and you have all of these insights and intuitions. And
yeah.
meanwhile, you can really kind of hone in and decide to develop it or shut it down. The only problem is when you shut it down, life gets harder, right? Like when you
Start
deny this, it's
knocking.
hard. Yeah, they are knocking. Yeah, they
They
just want
literally
you to
start
connect.
knocking and push it more and get you more uncomfortable. So if you want like a little bit of flow and ease towards what you want, you have to explore, you have to see that,
Yeah.
you have to open that notch because if not, they're just going to keep like driving it to you. You can't avoid who you are.
No,
You're
it's
here
true.
for your soul calling, your soul purpose, whether it be, a small fraction or a big journey, you're here and it's impacting. So,
Mhm. I think that, you know, maybe the main message today I'm getting, like psychically, is that you have to be able to get uncomfortable with your journey and actually lean into doing the work of what your soul is required to do
yes.
and still show the gratitude and the positivity in your current situation in order to be able to open up and like actually evolve. Because I think a lot of times people, and I don't know, like when because you also do mentorship. So I don't know if your clients too struggle sometimes with like really trusting to release and surrender to what's going on around them, or they spend a lot of time trying to just create a very stable and positive situation in something they can't even control. And then it becomes where they feel like in resistance all the time because it's like they're not going to change around you and you have to be the one to do it, right? Like, do you witness that a lot where you're like, okay, here's where I'm at with your mentorship. Like, you've got to go. You have to do the things first. You have to move, and then everything will start to come with you. We can't
Yes.
keep doing
Well,
the same things.
yeah, nothing changes unless something changes, right?
Yeah.
So I celebrate the chaos, but on the other side of the pain and is, letting go of the resistance, right? It's going through it. You have to sit in it and go through it to get on the other side of it. We're taught so much to numb ourselves, disconnect from it, put it aside and segregate it, but really we have to sit in it to be able to evolve and expand from it. And when I look at how fractured my childhood was, it was running from it. It was, swallowing it down. It was, neglecting what needed to be spoken. And the empowerment really came from speaking, no matter how messy it got, how ugly it looked, how, uncomfortable it felt, speaking it, honoring it, and holding space with it. And it gets a lot clearer as you do it more. It doesn't have to be chaotic, but just giving yourself that opportunity. I know so many people just want to run and focus on the ease and the fun and the good feelings of it, but really the overhaul comes from really kind of diving deep and feeling that uckiness and how we can shift that. So
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. I think just also the second part of this message this today is about timing. And could you
yeah.
elaborate on if someone's out there and they're listening and they're thinking, okay, why didn't she get this information ahead of time? Why, if there's such thing as our higher self, if there's such thing as the universe and our spirit guides and all these people who are trying to serve us, why wouldn't she get a heads up that someone is, cheating, or that you're about to lose your home, or that you're having like, can you speak to, just in general, not even about your own journey, but like in general,
Yeah.
the significance of timing, or as we mentioned earlier, the inability for messages to be dropped to you until a certain time and space has been achieved for them, for you, for the collective. But, people
Yeah.
probably want to know, why didn't you know?
Well,
Why don't
and
we know? Why aren't they helping us?
some aspects I laugh because I knew. But I
Yeah.
kept, looking for the facts. I find our intuitive mind and our logical mind are the combative part. And we are so programmed to look for the facts, look for the pieces that are going to support that intuitive. And now I've learned no, it's the intuition first and the facts come when they're meant to. So if I would have had that differently, let me tell you, I would have been out of that relationship so quick, it wasn't even funny.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I had those intuitive hits. I had this wasn't right, but I had all these people saying, no, he loves you, this and that, right? People tell you these logical pieces. They give you the facts, they give you the little puzzle pieces that fit this storyline, whereas your gut saying, ah, and if you look back, you always know what you need when you need it. It's whether you empower it or not. That is the
Hmm.
big thing. So when I connect to that, I just really tell people, it comes when it's meant to. If I look at my abilities opening up, I would have not appreciated it. I would have exploited it. I would have not been able to support people like I can now because I would have been in a judgmental place. I really had to just destroy every aspect of myself, humble myself in every single way, and walk so many different journeys before I could really look at everybody else's journey with empathy and compassion. And if you look at what your goal is, you have to kind of just surrender it to universe. It'll come to you. Your spark has been put out there. You have to be clear with that, but it will find you. Just let go of the timeline.
Yes. Let go of the
Oh,
timeline.
again, it's about the journey. It's not about the ending.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We just have to learn to be comfortable in the journey, right? Because that's the thing. Like, we're always trying to get to those goals, to get to the end point.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time, as probably do you, of like,
Mm.
wait a minute, that one step at a time, that one day at a time, that what are we doing today? Like, how are we honoring ourselves today to get us so that we can get to tomorrow, to 10 years from now, or whatever?
Yes, and
Um,
nobody's free of pain.
no.
No matter what everybody expects or sees, they may hide it, they may hold it in the darkness of their nights, but nobody is free of those. That is why we are here, is to evolve and grow from those moments. So don't perceive everybody's journey. Let me tell you, I've seen behind those doors. There is no fairy tale without, struggle or growth or any challenges. Nobody's free of that.
Absolutely. And it goes back to how people choose to, I always say, vibrate at that frequency of, because when you mentioned about how you would go to work and you'd still be smiling and you'd still be vibrating high and stuff. And it's like people are like, wait a minute, nope, that does not match. That is not matching. But but why can't it? Why do we have to be so programmed into what society says is
Yeah.
this is how we should behave, this is how we should react, this is how we need to respond when each of us are different. And so
Yeah.
so we will go through challenging times. That is 100% certain, but
Yes.
how we are able to hold space for ourselves in it and through it is going to
Yes.
definitely help.
Well,
Definitely.
and sometimes, Amber, it was literally like, I am just thankful to have a blanket at night right now. I am thankful to have a clean glass of water. I am
Mhm.
thankful for, having a toilet. I'm thankful that my kids are healthy and here, and I am thankful I still have a job. Like, it's just these little things that so many people don't realize so many others would just move mountains to have the ease that we experience. So when we lose that gratitude, we really bring in a lot of chaos and more junk than we need. But when we kind of radiate that gratitude and really feel it, you'd be shocked at the crazy miracles that happen. And I mean, I got shown that over and over again. It was like miracle after miracle after miracle. In the hardest of times, they would just all of a sudden show up, and you'd be like, wow, that is not normal.
Yeah. That does not make sense and that does not feel normal.
No, I guess
Oh my gosh. Oh
it
my goodness.
happens.
Well,
Does anybody else see that?
yeah. I literally say that 5 times a day. Did anyone else just see that? Did you hear that? Do you smell that? Do you know?
Psychic medium, I tell you, it's not for the faint of heart.
No, not at all. Sometimes it's absolutely insane. The other day, my husband said, because I said, and I'm going to ask you about this in a second, but we're about to celebrate International Women's Day.
Yeah,
And so, of course, like, I'm like all about women's empowerment and I advocate for women's rights and all these things. And so I have since I was a little girl, a very, very little girl. I've always been that person. And so I said to my husband the other day, something about recycling or doing something for the environment, but I think I had hit him too hard that day with so many things because he said, oh my god, I know I picked you, but I don't think I picked all of your empowerment advocacy right things that you come along with. And then I thought, but that's like the empath in me. It's like, no, the earth needs this, and this woman needs that,
yeah,
and that child wants this. It's like, it's hard to turn off.
yeah, yeah. It's just kind of our drive and our aspiration, right? Like all the things we can support and connect to. So that's where it's like, when's this going to happen? I want a clear sign, because I tell you, I have a big list of what I want to accomplish. So
Yeah, yes. Oh my goodness. So, what are your goals coming up? Do you have any exciting things happening on the
so
horizon?
on May 4th of this year, I will be doing another audience read. I'm going to do two a year now. So I'm going to do one in May and one in November. And from there this year, astrology wise, I'm in my enemy year. So I'm just trying to keep it on this.
That actually sounds terrifying.
Just trying not to do too many big things, right? I'm like, oh, it's a year of recoup and just kind of building structure of stuff.
Yeah.
But I have
Yeah.
some cool events that are coming my way this year that I'm very honored to hold space in. And for now, it's just kind of just connecting to my community and kind of just supporting with that. And we'll see what the year comes. There's lots of predictions with everything. So I'm just kind of,
Mhm.
that's where I'm
That's
like, just
exciting.
one step at a time.
Yes, yes, and to be open for whatever is coming. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like you're someone who waits for invitations to things. Like, I don't know if you understand like that archetype the way that I've been describing it, but
Yeah.
like somebody might be like, oh, I have to go and plan and go and get.
Yeah.
Where I feel like you're like, ooh, I'm
Yeah.
aware, and now I'm gonna see what comes to me, and then I'm gonna be like, yep, nope,
Yeah.
yep, nope.
This year it's definitely shifted into that. Like prior to, it was like I was getting my face out there, getting, known and lots of different things. And now this year, I can definitely feel the shift of people coming to me and seeing, how that's going to work for me or how they can make it work, right? So it's been a really different shift this year, and it hit right in, like, I think mid-January. It was just swapped for me.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
it was
would definitely be laying low as well in an enemy year. Yeah, I don't know really what that entails, but it doesn't sound fun. So I would be doing the same as you.
I do my astrology, I do my numerology, and I do my feng shui, guys. So it's like I make sure that I'm prepared for the year ahead.
Yes, yes, that sounds amazing. Oh my goodness. Now, I also saw on your site that you're doing lives on Instagram. Now, are
Mhm.
some of those about astrology or cards, or they're cards, right? You do cards?
So I do my Opie's oracle messages. I just kind of use my cards as an opening kind of thing to just navigate and shift and hone in, because sometimes when we open up to somebody's energy you can get like an extensive amount, but
Oh yeah.
sometimes it's just like little bits too. So it's just kind of a safety net to kind of connect to it. But this year I kind of steered away from the mediumship online. I got frustrated. It's really hard. I don't think people know how hard it is doing that online and waiting for the response, and then the energy drops, right? So it
Yes.
just wasn't serving the spirit in the communication format. So I love my Opie's Oracle messages. They're super fun, but this year I'm only doing them every 3 months. So
Yeah. You know, it's so true because I don't do
mhm.
psychic mediumship stuff online.
Yeah,
And people have asked why don't I, like lots of other people do it, and I'm like, because I need to honor my energy, and in
yeah,
that way it feels completely draining, and it's like
yeah,
I'm putting myself out there opening up to who knows what, and
yeah,
they're just never like that, the law of the universe, like giving and receiving and that kind of stuff. And
yes,
so just even in terms of like the message landing for someone to receive and then giving back that validation, that giving and receiving energetically. But yes, to do so online, especially when you may be picking up on the person who's in front of you's aunt whose mother's coming through and she doesn't know this, and then all of a sudden, or maybe the people who are tuning in just want to be curious but they don't really know how it works, and then they
yeah,
aren't understanding the process in which you have to take to do it. So yes, there are
yeah.
a lot of different things. I'm with you there.
It just wasn't a representation of my work. I was like, if anything, I was like really not impressed with it. So I was like, how could other people be? So I was like, I'm gonna eat my ego here. I'm not gonna force feed this. I'm gonna flow. I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
love this one. This one gives me joy. So I love doing that. And I'm gonna try that this year and just see if that works.
And that's why you will be magnetic, because you're going to keep shifting and
Yeah.
shaping into what feels good for your soul and what brings
Um,
you that joy, because we're not supposed to be out there doing things we don't like to be doing, because people will feel that. So you
yeah.
have to be able to resonate with it, and people do feel that from you. Like your
Yeah.
energy's just vibrating. So
Yes.
like my face is red and I'm like my hands are vibrating, like I can feel you.
Jazz hands. Always the jazz hands.
Jazz hands, yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so excited that we got to finally connect today, and we had some really good conversation. I think there's someone out there that needed to hear what we have going on and all of the information that you were able to share and these insights. And so I will have all of your information in the show notes. So if you want to get in contact with Opie, then you will know how to do so. And then maybe you can connect to one of her 2 live events this year and get her for that. And thank you so much for showing up in the world the way that you do. And I just want to ask you one last thing, since I'm all about women's empowerment and the International Women's Day is coming. Is there a piece of advice you could give a woman in this day and age, in any form you want to give, into how you can inspire her to keep going or to do blah, 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 blah?
My biggest thing is don't get lost in the junk. There's always junks to fixate your energy on that'll keep you low. Let go of it and step into what's going to inspire you and lead you with joy. That is where we are meant to go, and that is the compass in life. So let go of the weight, let go of the chaos, the drama, and just get focused and clear on the things that light you up and get you excited for every single day.
Yes. I could not have said that better. And we will leave on that note. Thank you so much, Opie, for coming on
Yeah.
today and for connecting to everybody.
Amber, I have to thank you because you were such an inspiration for me. And it's just such a great experience for me to hold space for with you when I looked up to you so much and you helped me
Oh,
so many ways when I was looking for tools and pieces and information and support. So this has
my
been
goodness.
very special for me. So thank you for
Oh my
empowering
goodness.
souls like me in my journey.
Thank you. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Thank you. Like I literally just felt overwhelmed. Thank you.
Well, it's really a powerful experience. It's so great to hold space, with people that I looked up to. So,
Oh, I love it. I'm always here and it just keeps me going. And thank you so much for sharing that with me because it's nice to be able to feel that. And I thank you so much.
oh, thank you, Amber.
Thank you. Thank you.